We are Black Dwarf. We are Arizona.
The battle for the National League West here in the Valley of the Sun. The Diamondbacks and Dodgers at Chase Field this evening. Game 2 of a 3-game series between the top two teams in the division. Good evening from Chase Field and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly along the way. Game 2 of this 3-game set. Bob, and after Zach Greinke quieted the Diamondback bats here last night, Arizona getting a little jolt today with a sudden return of Adam Eaton back at the top of the lineup.
You know, Adam Eaton really gave the team a shot in the arm last year before he got injured, and after a rehab assignment, hit a home run in the ball game for the Reno Aces last night. They declared Adam Eaton ready to come up and play with the boys again. Brings a lot of energy to the ball club. Great defense in center field. Strong throwing arm. A threat of speed on the bases. Threat of speed in the outfield. He's a welcome addition as they get closer and closer to full strength.
A lot of excitement this spring about what Adam might do in the lineup every day this season, and beginning tonight, we'll get a look. The brawl between these two, June 11th at Dodger Stadium. We saw Zach Greinke last night. All was quiet. Ian Kennedy on the mound tonight.
Well, hopefully all will be quiet again as far as that's concerned. Ian Kennedy against Ricky Nolasco. Both have done well against their respective opponents in their career. Nolasco pitching for the Marlins most recently. Real good outing for him against the D-backs earlier this season. And for Ian Kennedy, his last 4 starts has really turned his season around. He was just kind of floundering, trying to figure out what kind of pitcher he wanted to be. Struggled with his command, struggled with the home run ball, but over his last 4 starts, everything has settled in really nicely for Ian Kennedy, and he's pacing the way for this rotation. He was the opening day starter. He's the guy that you look to stop a 1-game losing streak.
He's looked like a different pitcher the last 4 starts, as you pointed out. Eric Chavez in the lineup tonight, a late scratch though, so he's out of the game. Martin Prado at third and Jason Kubel in left field. When we come back, game 2 of this 3-game series, Jody Jackson rejoins us. She'll have more on Puig Mania. These surging Los Angeles Dodgers have moved within 3.5 games of the Diamondbacks division lead. The Dodgers dealing when we come back. You're watching the Arizona Diamondbacks on Fox Sports Arizona. Back with more after this.
Ram Trucks, proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And by Gila River, another proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
And we welcome you back. Diamondbacks baseball here on Fox Sports Arizona. Game 2 of 3 against the LA Dodgers as this homestand before the All-Star break continues. Jody Jackson with you. And the Diamondbacks and Dodgers, well, yes, the rivalry just continues to grow. Here the fans, they like to chant, beat LA. And, of course, the Dodgers taking Game 1 of this 3-game series last night. But for the Diamondbacks, they've been in first place for really the last 2 months. The Dodgers, though, are hard charging. They've been playing well of late. Miguel Montero talked about the matchup in this series.
We're playing against the guys, the team that's in the second place. We got a 4.5 lead, so we're looking forward to face him and hopefully take the series at least 2 out of 3. Get a little bit more advantage, a little bit more, take a couple more games ahead. So I don't know, they're playing pretty good. They've been doing a good job as of late, and it's going to be a good series. I mean, period. What happened in the past is already done. We know they're a good team, and we just come here ready to play.
Well, and now that lead down to 3.5 games with the Dodgers win last night. But you look at the best record in Major League Baseball since June 22nd. It is the LA Dodgers, an incredible 13-3 over that span. And you look at the fact that Hanley Ramirez has a 19-game hitting streak. Yasiel Puig is hitting over 400. Adrian Gonzalez hitting the ball well as well. And so while this lineup has gotten healthy and they're putting together a good offensive strategy, the pitching has been there. So it makes it a formidable matchup for the D-backs. Now, Ian Kennedy, he's happy to be home. He hasn't been on the mound here at Chase since May 15th. 7 straight road starts, but 8 is enough. He's back tonight, ready to take on the Dodgers.
Chase Field, 5 games over 500, the only team in the NL West with a winning record and leading the division by 3.5 games over the Dodgers. And for the first time all year, Bob Brenly, look who's back. Adam Spanky Eaton manning center field and hitting leadoff for the Diamondbacks.
Boy, the range in the outfield just got considerably better with Eaton in center, moving Gerardo Parra over to right field. As you mentioned earlier, Martin Prado originally was in the lineup in left, but when Eric Chavez scratched, he had to move in to play third base, so we have Jason Kubel out there in left field.
Dodgers have won 13 of 16, now 3.5 back of the Diamondbacks NL West lead. Carl Crawford is set to lead it off. This is the Dodger lineup, and you'll note Yasiel Puig hitting second in this order literally 30 seconds ago. He was way down the right field line signing autographs. He just stopped as we came on the air, and he's on deck.
Fan friendly. May not like the media too much, but gets along well with the fans.
This was literally a minute ago, 60 seconds, and he's running. All right, I got to go. We're underway at Chase Field. Carl Crawford leads it off. First pitch swinging, popped him up third base side. Didi Gregorius, long run into foul ground. And Didi is there. One pitch, one out for Ian Kennedy. He's still sort of, Bob, getting ready for this at bat. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
Well, you love the attention that he pays to the fans, but I have to believe that that's something the Dodgers would like him to do a little bit earlier so he can get prepared for his first at bat of the game.
How should the Diamondbacks approach him differently tonight?
Well, Ian Kennedy had some success against Puig before he grazed his nose down there at Dodger Stadium, pitching him up and in. Good, hard, four-seam fastballs up and in, off the plate, above the top of the strike zone.
It's amazing. He will swing at the first pitch every time. He was 2 for 5 last night, a pair of singles. He scored a run. An extremely aggressive hitter.
That's a good pitch.
Why?
Because it's over in the left-handed batter's box, and that's about the only place Puig can't get to the ball. But he's just as likely to swing at that as he is likely to swing at a strike.
Well, they're trying to get him to bite here, and to his credit, he has not so far. It's 2-1. Yasiel Puig has hit safely in 11 of his last 12 games, batting .392 over that stretch. He's at .409 on the year.
I'll tell you what, based on the little bit we've seen of Puig, I think if you do pitch around him and walk him in his first at bat of the game, maybe his first couple of at bats of a ball game, he will get even more aggressive. This guy doesn't want to walk. He wants to swing that bat.
Adrian Gonzalez on deck. Here's the 3-1 to Yasiel Puig. It's certainly a very different approach than what we saw last night from the D-backs. Randall Delgado gave him pitches to hit, and he took advantage.
I mentioned that Ian Kennedy down at Dodger Stadium had some success against Puig, elevating that fastball, especially on that inside part of the plate. Look where Miguel Montero sets up. Show him some off-speed pitches in the dirt, go right back to that up and in zone.
Here it is. He is something to see. One out single, Yasiel Puig. Thought about two. Hard turn around the bag. He's back to first. He got a pitch to hit, and he didn't miss it there.
Well, you see Miggy sets up way inside. Looked like they were trying to throw one of those pitches that they had success with at Dodger Stadium. Unfortunately, Ian misses his spot, leaves it over the heart of the plate, and that's the result.
Yasiel Puig had a first inning single last night. In the first inning this year, he is now 18 for 30 with 2 home runs. Puig at first, one down. Adrian Gonzalez.
If we could have just had him sign autographs for a couple more minutes.
He came close. He almost missed his turn at bat. Ian Kennedy making his 17th start of the season, 3-4, a 5.16 ERA. He leads the National League with 9 hit batters. Only Doug Fister of the Tigers and Justin Masterson of the Indians have hit more batters this year than Ian Kennedy. And of course, given the backstory of what happened the last time Kennedy faced the Dodgers, that's something to keep in the back of your mind tonight.
Well, Ian has to pitch inside to be effective. You just have to keep it below shoulder level. His last start against the Mets back at Citi Field on that last road trip was the first time in 6 starts he did not allow a homer.
Yeah, he was outstanding his last time out. Very encouraging, certainly. That was the July 4th holiday against the Mets at Citi Field. 2 runs on 6 hits in 7, 8 strikeouts, and he was the starting pitcher. The long-forgotten starting pitcher, and what turned out to be that 15-inning marathon win over the Mets that closed out the 10-game road trip. Yasiel Puig has stolen 5 bases this year. He's been caught 3 times. And just like as he is as a batter, he is a very aggressive base runner. Very much like Gerardo Parra, Bob. I think that's a pretty fair comp in terms of their base running styles.
Yeah, almost out of control. On the verge of being out of control.
Popped him up. Shallow left. Kubel coming in. Gregorius going out. Jason Kubel is there. 2 down. Defensively, the Diamondbacks look like this. Brought to you by Safelite Auto Glass. Eric Chavez was in the original starting lineup. A late scratch with right hip stiffness, so Prado comes to third and Kubel out in left.
Yeah, you certainly hope it's nothing long-lasting for Eric Chavez. We just got him back in the lineup, and as I mentioned in the open of the show, the Diamondbacks are very slowly getting back to what they thought their team was going to look like in spring training.
Notably, Adam Eaton tonight starting in center field. He'll hit leadoff in the home half of the first. Here is El Nino, Hanley Ramirez. The one guy in the majors who is out Puiging Puig these days, and that's not easily done.
Got to watch the first pitch on him, too.
Hanley had 3 hits last night, all singles. He's at .419 on the year. And he comes into tonight riding a 19-game hit streak. I think he's gone down another button, Bob.
Yeah, it's going to be a R-rated show by tomorrow.
You think Puig is pushing him in terms of the performance, not the dress code?
I don't know so much. I mean, Hanley Ramirez, when healthy, has always been a very productive offensive player. At times his motivation has been questioned. He doesn't always run things out hard. He doesn't always focus on his defense as much as he should, but offensively he has always been a force.
Leads the National League in hit batters, and he has plunked Hanley Ramirez in the first. That is the 10th hit batter for Ian Kennedy this year, and the 3rd Dodger. We know what happened the last time we went down this road.
Looked like a changeup for me and Kennedy, and obviously if he's had any intention of hitting Hanley Ramirez, he wouldn't throw a changeup.
Everybody on the top step. 2 on, 2 out. Andre Ethier.
And just another reason that makes me think that was totally accidental on Ian Kennedy's part. Andre Ethier is the hottest Dodger hitter against Ian Kennedy. .320 lifetime with a couple of home runs. No way you want to put traffic on base ahead of a guy that's had that kind of success against you.
Ethier 3 for 5 last night. 2 singles, a double, an RBI. He scored a run. Puig at second. Hanley Ramirez at first. Andre Ethier comes into tonight riding a 7-game hitting streak. During that streak, he's batting .429. Two and two.
And Ethier has always been a very productive run producer in the middle of this Dodgers lineup. In his last 23 plate appearances with runners in scoring position, he's got 9 hits, driven in 9 runs. Those are career numbers against Kennedy. Yeah.
Puig a 1-out single. Ramirez hit by a pitch. 2-2 to Andre Ethier. Guys have been carrying the load, rest of the team lagging behind. And this will be continue to be the heart of the order now that Matt Kemp is on the 15-day DL with a shoulder issue. Kemp went on the DL yesterday just before the game. 2-2 to Andre Ethier. Big strikeout there for Ian Kennedy. He strands two. Bottom one coming up. We'll see Adam Eaton's first at bat of the year when we come back. The Diamondbacks playing center field and batting leadoff every day. He was supposed to set the tone and tenor for this ball club in terms of the grit and the want and the whole thing. And now, after injuries all spring long, here he comes.
For the D-backs, center field, number 6, Adam Eaton.
A small tear in the ulnar collateral ligament in his left elbow in spring training had to be shut down for almost 2 months. It was the same type of injury that Didi Gregorius had to begin the spring. Adam was initially supposed to miss 6 to 8 weeks, but his first rehab assignment had to be stopped when he felt more discomfort in the elbow in May. And now he is good to go. First pitch, roll to second base. Skip Schumacher is there, 1 away. Probably a little anxious to get going here.
A little bit, yeah. Certainly understandable for Adam Eaton to want to make something happen right away. Hopefully we'll see some more patient at-bats from him the rest of the evening.
This is the Diamondbacks lineup against Ricky Nolasco tonight. As we mentioned, Eric Chavez was in the original lineup, scratched with right hip stiffness. And so it's Eaton leading off. Martin Prado originally in left field. He was moved to third, and Jason Kubel inserted in the lineup. Here is Gerardo Parra. Parra 296, 7 homers, 27 RBIs. And unusual for him, batting in the 2 spot tonight. This is Ricky Nolasco's Dodgers debut, acquired by Los Angeles just over the weekend here for the Miami Marlins. His numbers for the season there don't exactly blow you away, but keep in mind he's been pitching for Miami and has received the 4th lowest run support in all the major leagues. The Diamondbacks faced this guy earlier this season in Miami and frankly just couldn't do anything with him at all. He was very impressive. 8 innings, 5 hits, 11 strikeouts.
Now those 11 strikeouts, 7 of them came to the bottom of the order. The 7, 8, 9 hitters, only 4 strikeouts for hitters 1 through 6.
He gets Parra 2 down.
He really is 2 different pitchers. Against right-handed hitters, he'll feature a 4-seam fastball, a 2-seam sinker, and a hard slider. Against lefties, you'll see more curveballs and split-fingered fastballs.
Well, they have a lot of injuries to their rotation. Josh Beckett, Chad Billingsley, Ted Lilly, all on the DL right now. So they went and got Ricky Nolasco for a package of prospects. Here's Goldie. Paul Goldschmidt, 310, 21 home runs, and National League leading 74 RBIs. A pair of hits in last night's series opener. He scored the Diamondbacks' only run. Buckled Goldie with that one. It's 2-1.
That slider up in the zone, that can be really deceiving. You don't pick up the rotation quite as well when that slider is up above the belt as you do when it's down on that outside corner.
Hammers the 2-1 into left. 2-out single for Paul Goldschmidt here in the first against Ricky Nolasco. Dodgers defensively brought to you by Safe Line Auto Glass. Different look than last night, Bob.
A little bit of a different look, especially on the infield. Outfield is the same with Crawford in left, Ethier in center, Puig in right. But the infield has Jerry Hairston Jr. at third, Hanley Ramirez once again at shortstop, Skip Schumacher taking over at second base, Adrian Gonzalez at first, and A.J. Ellis behind the plate.
Hairston at third, Ramirez at short, Schumacher at second. Here in the cleanup spot tonight, Aaron Hill. Interesting thing about the lineup, we mentioned Chavez was a scratch. This was the way it was supposed to be anyway. Chavez was initially in there in the 5 spot, so this is what Kirk Gibson had in mind. Eaton, Parra, Goldie, Hill, 1 through 4. Aaron at 302 on the year, 3 homers, 13 RBIs. Good view right behind the plate at Chase Field. You'll see a lot of blue over there behind first base. Once again, the Dodger section, if you will, is well down the right field line, right over the LA bullpen. Missed upstairs, 2-1. Ricky Nolasco does a good job mixing up his pitches. He has very even splits. Slider, 4-seam, 2-seam. All about the same percentages. And then the splitter and the curveball. Drop that one in there, 2-2.
That's a hard slider. He'll throw it in the mid-80s. A little bit of downward movement, but really throws it hard. That's why you saw Paul Goldschmidt buckle a little bit. Aaron Hill gives up on that one. A lot of late movement.
Averages 82 miles an hour with that slider and throws it more than any other pitch. Nolasco gets the strikeout, 2 in the inning. We're through 1, no score, Chase Field. Mallory and Danielle is the next Fox Sports Arizona girl. Log on to girls.foxsportsarizona.com to upload your photos and submit a video. And take advantage, because now's your chance to be the next Fox Sports Arizona girl. Search is on, BB.
I think for our camera guys, the search is on every night.
Well, we have to have a meeting about that. A.J. Ellis leads off the second against Ian Kennedy. Just practicing their focus, that's all. Some of the moves.
I'm not complaining.
A.J. Ellis at 265, 1 for 5 last night with a single, 2 RBIs. BB, how does having Adam Eaton back in center field change things? Because obviously we know he can run and cover some ground.
No disrespect meant to Jason Kubel or Cody Ross, but you've got a guy in center field now that can pretty much cover the entire outfield, and then you put Gerardo Parra in right. That's going to allow Adam Eaton to cheat over a little bit in the gap in left center to help that left fielder from time to time.
You think Gerardo Parra is best served in right field?
Absolutely. I think he's most comfortable out there. I think he takes his best lines to the ball as a right fielder. I mean, he's done a great job as a center fielder, but I think that's his comfort zone right there. Plus, he's got that cannon throwing arm, and you need your best arm in right field. The longest throw is from right field to third base.
Yeah, you have to feel good about center field and right field with those two guys out there defensively. Leadoff single for Ellis. Here's Skip Schumacher, the second baseman. And Skip, late change before the game. He switched his number. He had been wearing number 3, and he went to Oral Hershiser's 55. That's the number he wore when he was a St. Louis Cardinal. So trying to change the mojo, maybe. 249 on the year. He comes into tonight just 4 for his last 27. Those 27 at bats coming over a span of just 10 games.
Well, Oral Hershiser was a great pitcher. Not much of a hitter, though.
Well, the funny thing is, Schumacher has actually made not 1, but 2 pitching appearances for the Dodgers this season. He's pitched twice. Good numbers against Ian Kennedy. Schumacher, 2 scoreless innings. He's given up 3 hits, 3 walks, and a strikeout. Has not yet been scored on as a pitcher. Does a little bit of everything. He's played left field, second base, center field, right field, DH, and pitched.
Got a ways to go to catch up with Hershiser's record for scoreless innings.
50-something behind.
Yeah.
Kennedy ahead, 1-2. Driven to right, that's a base hit. Ellis will stop at second. Pair of singles to lead off the second against Ian Kennedy. Well, we saw, Bob, the Diamondback get singled to death last night. And the Dodgers are off and running with 3 singles so far through 1+. Our first look in this series at Jerry Hairston Jr. He's the third baseman. We saw Juan Uribe there last night. And Hairston's in there tonight at 274, a homer and 11 RBIs. The veteran who just turned 37 in May.
Not a big-time home run hitter, but he is a dead pull hitter. There was a time a little bit earlier in his career where you could count on at least 1 line drive foul down that third baseline every at bat.
He almost hit his second guy in 2 innings.
Hairston stands very close to that inside corner of the plate. You can see his toes are very nearly touching the inside line of that right-handed batter's box.
Hard to third. Prado. Hill. They roll the double play. Goldie comes down on the bag. A.J. Ellis now to third with 2 outs.
Perfect double play ball. What you want is a hard hit ball right at a defender. Couldn't have ordered it up any better than that. Aaron Hill's throw a little bit high to Goldie over there at first base, but no problems.
Brings up the pitcher, Ricky Nolasco, with A.J. Ellis at third and 2 outs. Nolasco 3 for 30 on the year. He has struck out 17 times. Marvin Hudson says strike. It's 0-2.
Yeah, after that swing at the first fastball, I think breaking balls are probably the way to go the rest of this at bat, unless he wants to try to paint that outside corner with a fastball. But I would think another curveball right here is the way to go.
Misses there, 1-2. Trying to strand Ellis at third with 2 down.
Boy, with their 2 knocks in this inning, 1 in the first inning, the Dodgers now have 20 hits in this series, 19 singles.
The Dodgers last night out-hit the Diamondbacks 17-4. Andre Ethier had an RBI double. That was the only non-single of the whole bunch for LA. Parra short hops it and Ellis scores. Had a play at first, but Nolasco beats it out. The Dodgers take a 1-0 lead. Hard hit to right. It got down there in front of Gerardo Parra. And so far tonight, 4 singles and now 1 run for LA.
Yeah, too bad Parra couldn't stay on his feet right there. Yeah, Ian Kennedy frustrated, and he should be. Shouldn't give up base hits to pitchers. Not with runners at third base.
Nolasco aboard at first, still 2 down. Top of the order, Carl Crawford. Popped up to short his first time up. Crawford 0 for 17 since he's been back off the DL. He missed 30 games with a hamstring injury and just returned to the lineup on July 5th. That's lifted to center field. Adam Eaton's out there. And that's the inning. But the Dodgers get 3 singles. They get a run. It's 1-0 LA.
Up at one of the 16 interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Arizona Diamondbacks regular season home game.
Well, Zach Greinke had 3 singles for the Dodgers last night. Their pitcher tonight, Ricky Nolasco, an RBI single in the second. And it's made it 1-0 Dodgers as Miguel Montero, Martin Prado, and Jason Kubel will come up here against Nolasco to start the Diamondbacks half of the inning. And today, Bob, is Miguel Montero's birthday, and it's the big 3-0 for Miggy today.
And the Kachinko game piece was signed by Miggy today on his birthday. Hopefully he'll have a big night. You know what he wants for his birthday. Diamondbacks victory and maybe a few knocks.
Well, Miggy's been scuffling a bit, 2 for 17 right now with 7 strikeouts. Happy birthday, Miggy.
And anybody else who happens to share a birthday with Miguel Montero, happy birthday to you, too.
You usually have that list in your notes. He's down 0-2. Behind the plate nearly every day. Started 136 games last year, 131 the year before. And he's right on that pace again this year. Anybody good?
Tom Hanks.
Oh, there you go.
Courtney Love. Fred Savage from the Wonder Years.
He went from Courtney Love to Fred Savage.
Yeah.
Miggy hard to right. Schumacher's there. Smothers it. And makes the play 1 away. Couldn't quite get through. He's got good range over there at second base.
Schumacher was always one of Tony La Russa's favorites down in San Diego, or rather St. Louis, excuse me. Played multiple positions, maximum effort guy.
Look where that throw was, too. Hopped up and just fired a strike right to Adrian Gonzalez.
Of course, the most important birthday today, other than Miggy's, is my daughter Lacey celebrating a birthday today.
Oh, talk about burying the lead. Did you step up big time? What'd you get?
I always step up big time. We actually treated them to a weekend at the fabulous Pfister Hotel in Milwaukee.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they were there for Summerfest. Went to see the Eagles.
Do they spell Summerfest with a P also?
I think so.
Martin Prado grounds out to Gonzalez, 2 down. You know, that place is supposed to be haunted.
Yeah.
You're all right with that.
I don't mind. It doesn't bother me. I know there are players from teams that go into Milwaukee that won't stay at the Pfister.
Yeah. I heard some stories about the Pfister. Jason Kubel not in the original starting lineup. He was added when Eric Chavez was scratched with right hip stiffness. He's just dropping that breaking ball in there.
You see him use that a lot to the left-handers, especially that first pitch, just to jump ahead in the count. Very few hitters go to the plate looking for a first pitch curveball, and he takes advantage of that.
Doc Rosenblatt not going to make a play on that one over there right field. Welcome to Chase Field. Good seats. Come out and join us homestand all week long. See your first place Diamondbacks. 1 more against the Dodgers tomorrow, then 4 against the Milwaukee Brewers. And then the All-Star break. The last go ahead, 1-2. Well, last time Nolasco gave up a 2-out single, Paul Goldschmidt. And now with 2 outs, he's gone full to Jason Kubel.
You know this, fans, but anytime the D-backs score 6 or more, Taco Bell's giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Yes, he went, says Tim McClellan at third. That's the third strikeout for Ricky Delasco, and that ends the second. We're through two. It's 1-0 Dodgers. Last National League All-Star spot, so they want you to vote for Freddie and not for Yasiel Puig, who leads off the third. This is the AT&T Twitter poll question. Who will win the NL Final vote? This is our own private poll. Desmond, Freeman, Gonzalez, Pence, or Puig. We'll run this all week long. Don't forget, All-Star game coming up only on Fox. Got the Puig Stormtrooper out there in the middle, I guess. Yasiel Puig singled into first. Prado at third.
Well, he's way ahead of last night's pace. In 5 at-bats in last night's ball game, he saw a total of 9 pitches. He's now seen 8 through 2 at-bats in the game tonight.
Very patient.
Very patient.
Yeah. Adrian Gonzalez. Gonzalez flat out his first time. I'm amazed with the way he was before the game that he's not running down the line to sign autographs now. I commend him for his fan friendliness, but that was something else. Gonzalez on base 3 times last night, 2 singles and a walk.
Well, if Puig doesn't get that final spot on the All-Star team, it's through no fault of the Dodgers. They're having voting parties for fans tonight in Pasadena, tomorrow in West Hollywood. Barney's Beanery is hosting.
Well, sure. That's a fair ball. Nice play by Goldie. Kennedy over to cover the bag. Trip Gibson, the first base umpire, doing a good job signaling emphatically that that was a live ball in play. Check out the first base umpire here.
That's a good call. Looked like the ball bounced right over the base and then ended up in foul territory. Nice job by Ian Kennedy to get over there, not take anything for granted. Yeah, clearly looked like it went right over the bag before bouncing into foul territory.
Here is El Nino. Hit by a Kennedy pitch his first time. -game hitting streak for Hanley Ramirez. He's batting .486 during that streak. 2 triples, 6 doubles, 18 RBIs, and 20 runs scored. Wow. That one's down the line in left, and that is a foul ball into the Diamondback bullpen. Ramirez's 19-game hit streak, the longest for a Dodger since Andre Ethier hit in 30 straight.
in 2011. He has always seemed like the type of player that needs some kind of extra incentive to give it 100%. He can be frustrating at times. You know, there is a school of thought that says Yasiel Puig has been that fire right underneath Hanley Ramirez. Got to keep up. Hanley has 2 years left on a 6-year, $70 million extension he signed with the Marlins back in 08. Dodgers have spent a lot of money on this ball club.
And we talked in the early part of the season when we saw the Dodgers how dysfunctional they looked. The pieces just didn't fit together well. Whether it was guys injured and not playing at 100%, guys injured and gone.
It was stunning. Say what you want about the Dodgers. This certainly isn't a sympathetic vote, but they went through a lot. Wow, it was nuts.
A lot of injuries to their starting rotation after bragging all spring about how much depth they had, 9 deep in their starting rotation.
They figured out, let's just give away Aaron Harang. We got lots of guys. Suddenly they were down to 3. And it looked like Greinke might have to have serious elbow surgery this spring. He avoided that. Keeping John Thornton busy down there along the left field line. Oh, that's out of John's range apparently.
Got to make sure and pull that seat out before you go to sit down again, John.
John Thorson manning left field and Doc Rosenblatt in right tonight. Our Golden Glovers at Chase Field. Another 3-2. Ian Kennedy got the first 2 outs on 5 pitches. He's set to throw his 9th now to Hanley Ramirez.
Doc's just waiting for those left-handed pull hitters.
Yeah. He's positioned himself perfectly. Good at bat here by Hanley Ramirez. 3 hits last night, all singles. Martin Prado spins and throws. And a nice 1-2-3 third for Ian Kennedy. Home half coming up at Chase Field. Diamondbacks trail at 1-0.
Coyotes here tonight. The Diamondbacks hosting the Coyotes prospects and their first round pick, 12th overall, Max Domi. threw out the first pitch tonight, and I'm here alongside Max and all your future teammates here. And pretty good first pitch. I know you were being tutored by Will Nieves, but these guys were giving you some grief because you haven't played a lot of baseball. Nice job. How was it?
Thank you. No, yeah, they were giving me a bit of a hard time for sure, and just saying, I mean, you better not throw it in the dirt, and you better not throw it high. So it's a little nervous, but I mean, it worked out in the end, and it was a great experience.
You're an athlete, no question. I have to say, strange world. We were landing in New York, getting ready to play the Mets. I saw you and your dad and your family in Times Square right after the draft. And what was that day like for you? A dream come true?
Yeah, no, it was unbelievable. I mean, I've been working 18 years for that, and
guys having some fun with you there already. I can imagine this has got to be a great week, right? You guys all getting together.
It's been exciting, and a lot of that going on, so it's been fun for sure, and just soaking it all in.
And you know, your dad, Ty Domi, I actually covered him. This is showing my age a little bit. You know, he played with the Maple Leafs, and he was an enforcer, but your game is different. You're more of a skill guy. Tell me about your game.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're pretty much opposites. I like to have fun out there and, I mean, score goals and then make plays. So use our hands for a little bit of different things, but, I mean, we both work hard, and he had a pretty long, successful career in the NHL. So definitely taking notes from him, too.
All right, you know what? I'm going to let you go. Enjoy your time here with the guys and playing for Dave Tippett. I know it's got to be exciting for you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thanks. Max Domi, guys, taken 12th overall in the NHL draft, and he'll hopefully be playing soon for the Coyotes.
All right, tell you what, if he's anything like his dad, it's going to be a tough bunch. I mean, you do not mess with Ty Domi back in the day.
Ty Domi had 58 hours of penalty minutes in his career.
That was one season. You go to the box, you feel shame, and then you are free.
Yeah. 3,515 penalty minutes over the course of his professional career.
Leadoff single for Didi Gregorius. Diamondbacks second hit. Here's Ian Kennedy now. Try and move him along 90 feet. Ian, we're told, is the best bunter on the Diamondbacks pitching staff, so we'll get a chance to find out right here. Nice swing there for Didi, who was 0 for 2 with a walk last night. Matt Williams at third.
Well, certainly it's possible for a player or two or three to carry a team for stretches of the season. We've seen it with the Diamondbacks with Gerardo Parra and Paul Goldschmidt early in the year. Told you about the Dodgers and Puig, Ramirez, and Gonzalez carrying them most recently. It sure is a lot nicer when you're getting production up and down that lineup. Didi with that leadoff hit here out of the 8th spot in the lineup.
1-2 now. This is always an interesting call when a guy just can't get the bunt down, and now it's 1-2. Do you just give him one other shot at it here?
I think so. I think Ian's a better bunter than he is a hitter, so I would give him one more shot at it here, even though it's a 2-strike count.
Ian on the year 5 for 31 with 2 doubles.
Looks like a step-off move here just to see if Kennedy will commit at the plate, and he does.
Look where Jerry Hairston is. Even with a mound in at third, now he's backing up, but he was well in there trying to cover the bunt with Gonzalez holding on Didi at first. Hairston charging in again here. And Kennedy drops the bunt down. Ellis has one play. They move Didi along.
Nicely done. It's never really easy to put down a sacrifice bunt for a pitcher when everybody in the ballpark knows that's what you're trying to do. The defense gets right in your face. You mentioned Harrison crashing hard from third. Nolasco coming straight in from the mound, and Ellis coming out of the chute from behind home plate. Not always easy to get that bunt down. Nice job that time with 2 strikes.
Our second look this season at Adam Eaton with Gregorius on second and 1 out. Adam swung at the first pitch he saw this season and grounded out to second base. Looks at a ball, 1-0. Adam Eaton played 26 minor league rehab games, and in those 26 games hit .256 with 2 home runs.
You don't really get overly concerned with the numbers in a guy's rehab starts. You just want to make sure he's healthy, able to do the things he needs to do. I mean, obviously, you'd like to see some offense. You'd like to see some good numbers from a guy out on a rehab assignment. But as long as he's able to make the throws from center field with that left elbow, able to swing the bat with no issues physically.
Davey Lopes and Don Mattingly shifting their defense around. Eaton ahead 2-0. First rehab assignment had to be stopped when he had additional discomfort in that elbow after the small tear in the UCL. And an MRI, no structural damage. They went and got a second opinion from Dr. James Andrews and got the all clear. And now he's back in the major leagues for the first time this year. Adam Eaton had a home run yesterday in a minor league rehab start, so we'll remind you now that every time a Diamondbacks player hits a home run, Fulton Homes donates $150 to the Central Arizona Mountain Rescue Association. Wow. Pretty demanding camera guy. Hey, another one.
Feed me.
Kid right here. 3-1. Well, Velasco got 2 strikeouts in the first around the Paul Goldschmidt single. He worked a 1-2-3 second. And now with Gregorius on second, he's behind Adam Eaton, 3-1. Popped him up third base side. Hairston has room. 2 down. Eaton 0 for 2. So with Didi on second, 2 down for Gerardo Parra. He struck out his first time. My heart is Parra you. Nice glitter.
Bedazzled that sign.
Gerardo Parra began the day tied with Paul Goldschmidt with 103 hits this year. Tied for 6th in the National League behind Milwaukee's Gene Segura. Now Goldie has moved ahead after his single in the first. Here's another breaking ball. First pitch strike. It's everybody's birthday today. Miggy turned 30. That guy's 6.
Nice stash for a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
How much longer do I have to stand here?
Lifted to shallow center. Andre Ethier sprinting in. Ramirez comes in from shortstop and makes the play, and that ends the inning. Diamondbacks get a leadoff single from Didi Gregorius. They strand the runner through 3. It's 1-0 LA. Grown-ups too. It's in theaters everywhere on Friday. Set for the fourth inning at Chase Field. Diamondbacks trail the Dodgers 1-0. There is the Dodger section here, BB. You can see all the blue has been pretty much cornered out there in the right field area near the LA bullpen. Ian Kennedy will face Andre Ethier, A.J. Ellis, and Skip Schumacher. 5, 6, and 7 here in the Dodger fourth. Dodgers have out-hit the Diamondbacks 4-2. Once again, just like last night, all singles, and they lead it 1-0. 3 singles in the second. The third by the pitcher, Ricky Nolasco, has driven in the only run so far. Ethier struck out his first time up to end the first. He's 0 for 1. That one is driven down the right field line, right into that Dodger section down there. Camera guys, Bob, you've noticed working on all those outstanding cutaway shots have been getting a little thirsty, so some of the cameramen are up in the all-you-can-eat section.
You have something to wash those peanuts down with.
He ate all the kids' peanuts. Now he's making them go get them a drink.
Yeah, we'll make you a star, kid. Just let me have some of your soda.
Give it up. It's a rough crowd here tonight. That's the all-you-can-eat section, just behind the Diamondback bullpen down the left field line. Andre Ethier batting .429 over a 7-game hit streak. 0 for 1 tonight. 3 for 5 last night. I feel bad we didn't get Miggy anything for his birthday. Should have thought of that.
Where do you get the guy that has everything?
It's true. Hard to left. Drops down in front of Jason Kubel. That's the 5th Dodger hit. Ethier aboard to lead off the 4th.
Catcher, A.J. Ellis.
Well, it is the all-you-can-eat section. Ketchup on a hot dog, that's a violation. Cold, yeah, brown mustard and onions. Got to, you getting those? Oh, come on, man.
Misfire.
Come on. Put the camera down and do it right. Hey, you're holding up the line. This is a disaster. What a fiasco.
Oh, you got the kid laughing at you. Come on.
Now it's broken. See, this just this whole thing has gone off the rails. A.J. Ellis singled and scored his first time, and extends his hit streak to a career high 8 games. Diamondbacks did not see A.J. Ellis during the last series at Dodger Stadium. He missed 14 games with a strained left oblique. He's been back since June 14th.
All right, he's as solid as they come behind the plate. You see career high 8-game hitting streak. I mentioned it during last night's ball game. He's thrown out exactly 50% of the attempted base stealers this year, 17 out of 34.
A.J. Ellis played collegiately at Austin Peay. He's a Governor. And he is still Austin Peay's career hits leader. 18th round pick by the Dodgers in 03.
There's only one Governor.
The Governor, who's on Twitter and frankly out of control. Now he comes up to me every day. Hey, did you see that picture I just tweeted? Candy was sleeping. I tweeted a picture of it.
How about that?
He's counting his followers now. He's addicted. And Leo and Candy, frankly, you know, they're thinking about some kind of what do you call that when you confront the guy? Intervention, yeah.
I think it's called for.
Twittervention. The Gov is into the Twitter big time. But it's good. He's a good follow. You know, he tweets out pictures of batting practice in the ballpark, and when we're on the road, tweets out pictures from wherever we are.
Taxi cab,
scaffolding,
his dessert.
We came back from the road trip. He tweeted a picture from inside the car wash. Car was dirty after a long trip. Hashtag car wash.
Leo is back. Leo, I think, is tweeting right now, in fact. Look at Candy. Just noticed he was on TV, set up straight.
Yeah, they have a tendency to get pretty casual over in that radio booth. I stuck my head in there one day. Candy had his feet up on the table, leaning back in his chair.
And Leo Gilmartin towering over everything, running a tight ship. Hit it bad here by A.J. Ellis, another 2-2. Did not go, says Trip Gibson. Ian Kennedy now at 60 pitches, number 60 on the way. So far 39 for strikes.
I think you might see Ethier on the move over there at first base on this full count pitch. Ellis doesn't strike out a lot. Pretty good contact hitter.
Yeah, he's a very patient guy. Takes a lot of walks. Always been a high on base guy. And the Dodgers in this series so far, 21 of their 22 hits, singles. Here goes Ethier, and that's fouled off of Ellis's leg. Don Mattingly starting as runner at first with no outs here.
You got him off that front foot, right off the toe. Ouch. Well, not surprisingly, the Dodgers are 5th in the majors. Lowest percentage of runs from home runs. You think about their ballpark down there, Dodger Stadium at night, the ball just doesn't carry well at all. Only 31% of their runs this year are a result of the long ball.
Another 3-2. Ethier takes off again. That's fouled right to Greg Schulte. The Gub just below. Yep, just missed him.
Well, Twitter soon to go out.
I can see the tweet. Almost caught a foul ball. Hashtag near miss.
So a 3-2 count again.
Ethier has been off with a pitch every time here on 3-2. Oh, they caught him going the wrong way at first there.
Yeah, he's going to be running again. He just really shortened up his lead this time. Only had about a 2-step lead off the bag that time and was leaning the wrong way when Kennedy snapped that throw over there.
There he goes. Swing and a miss. Montero throws it into center field. And Ethier will take third. Adam Eaton picks it up. Here's the throw. And it gets through Prado. Kicks off the Diamondback dugout. And Ethier has to stay at third. Had a chance at a strikeout throw him out there. But Miggy's throw down to the second base bag just airmailed into center field.
Boy, that's always a golden chance to throw a guy out at second base. When you're running on that full count pitch, you play it like a hit and run. You know, you break a little bit late to make sure you don't get picked off. Miggy had all the time in the world. Just let that throw get away from him. Ethier up to his feet, scampers to third base. Eaton tried to throw to third to get Ethier, got away over there, and Ian Kennedy wasn't really in good backup position. Fortunately, it hits the facing of the dugout and ricochets back toward Ian Kennedy.
Skip Schumacher singled his first time. Ethier at third, one out. That is a strikeout, a stolen base, and an error on the catcher. So Ethier to second on the steal, to third on the error by Montero. One and one. Over his last 20 games, Skip Schumacher has hit .222. And over that same span, he has slugged just .238, speaking of all singles. Infield is in on the edge of the grass here in a 1-2 count. Breaking ball. Hill knocks it down. And they won't get to play at the plate. The run scores. They had a chance to cut down Ethier at home, but Aaron Hill bobbled it. They do get the out at first, but the run scores. It's 2-0 Dodgers. They got the ball they wanted there, BB.
Yeah, ground ball hit right at one of the position players. Ethier going on contact. It looked like it might have hit in the heel of Aaron Hill's glove just enough that he wasn't able to squeeze the leather around that ball and make the throw to home plate. No, that just rattled right in and out of the pocket. Won't be an error since the Diamondbacks do get the out at first base, but credit Schumacher with a RBI ground out.
2-0 Dodgers. Jerry Hairston Jr. Jerry Hairston just activated from the DL back on May 27th. Missed 18 games with a left groin strain. Since coming off the DL, he's done pretty well, actually. .291 in 28 games. Hard to first. Paul Goldschmidt bangs it. Steps on the bag, but the Dodgers add a run. It's 2-0 as we head to the home half of the fourth. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Paul Goldschmidt will lead it off against Ricky Nolasco. To what's next? By Mazda. We believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. And by Jack in the Box. Go big at a Jack in the Box near you with Jack's new Big Stack Burger. Well, Diamondbacks, best defensive team in Major League Baseball, but their defense hurt them in that top of the fourth inning. A throwing error by Miguel Montero, a bobbled chance by Aaron Hill, and it leads to a Dodger run, and they've added another one here. And now it's 2-0 LA as Paul Goldschmidt leads off the fourth against Ricky Nolasco. Goldie, Aaron Hill, and Miguel Montero here in the Arizona fourth. And I like David Wright, the Mets third baseman. Just a fan of the way he plays the game. But he is a horrible home run derby captain. Horrible. Awful. He chose Cargo, Bryce Harper, and Michael Kadire for the home run derby. He had a chance to pick Goldie. Leave that aside for now. Or other exciting home run hitters like Dominic Brown to the Phillies, Pedro Alvarez, the Pirates, get some fresh faces in there, some new teams. And he went with Michael Kadire.
Maybe
what are we doing?
Showing his respect for the elders of the game, possibly. You know, I don't mind Goldie missing the home run derby. I mean, you can argue both ways. It hurts guys' swings in the second half. It doesn't really bother him at all. I'd prefer not to see him in it.
I'm right there with you.
That is a grueling event, especially if you do what you're supposed to do, hit the ball up into the seats.
Yeah, it goes way too long. Guys take way too many swings, way too much time between their at-bats. It's need to be overhauled. I'm right there with you. But it would have been good exposure for the Diamondbacks and Paul Goldschmidt. There's no doubt about that. People want to see Goldie up there, but with all due respect, I don't know if anyone wants to see Michael Kadire in that event. He's had a marvelous year, don't get me wrong. Terrific year. Terrific play. But
well, the Kadire family is probably pretty excited.
Oh, yeah, sure. Now, there is a chance Cargo bows out because he injured his finger against the Diamondbacks here this weekend. So a spot could open up as Goldie strikes out. That's the 4th strikeout for Nolasco. So it's not a done deal yet. We'll have to wait and see how Cargo's finger is. But Michael Kadire over Goldie or Pedro Alvarez or Dominic Brown or...
You know, the funny thing about batting practice home run hitters is it's not always the guys you would expect. I think back to my coaching days with the San Francisco Giants, and obviously we had Barry Bonds and later on Jeff Kent, guys that hit lots of home runs during the regular season. But if I had to pick a guy for a home run derby, it would have been Glenn Allen Hill, no doubt about it.
Oh, yeah, big hard
swinger.
Oh,
man, could he put on a show in batting practice.
Well, when the Phillies were here in May, I saw Dominic Brown hit a bunch into the Diamond Club out there in right center.
Pedro Alvarez, I think, would be a great choice. He's got that natural lift in his swing, hits the ball in the air a lot. Big time pop.
That's where Dominic Brown was hitting him in batting practice. And I think it'd be great for the Pirates, too. They deserve some recognition. Get some fresh faces in there. Some new teams like the Pirates or the Diamondbacks. Some exposure. It's another reason why the captain idea was just a wrong turn on the freeway. But I'm right there with you, BB. I hope Goldie kind of stays under the radar just in terms of that event. Nolasco very effective with those breaking balls. Now at 50 pitches, 33 for strikes. Aaron Hill, a strikeout victim, back to in the first. That one is rolled to third. Jerry Hairston Jr. 2 down.
Well, Fox's own Tom Verducci, I thought, had a great idea for the home run derby, a way to tweak it a little bit, make it more interesting, get more players involved. Had brackets.
Yeah, well, we're a bracket culture.
Yeah.
People love brackets. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and you can set them up. I mean, obviously there'd be great interest regardless of who was in it, but I mean, can you imagine Mike Trout against Bryce Harper?
Yeah,
in the first round.
It goes on too long, too many swings. It's got to be cut down. It takes too long. And there's too long a period in between at bats for some of these guys. They get, you wear yourself out swinging, and then you sit for 45 minutes an hour, and then you're back in there.
Get the Yankee Robinson Cano against the Met David Wright. How about that one?
See, that'd be great. I'm right there with you, man. Two 2-0 to the birthday boy, Miguel Montero, who turns 30 today. Grounded out to Skip Schumacher at second base his first time up. Schumacher made a nice play on the outfield grass. No one in the National League has caught more innings behind the plate than Miguel Montero. He has already caught just over 698 innings this year. That's ahead of Yadier Molina, even though Molina has actually made one more start than Miggy back there. So Miggy leading the major leagues in innings behind the plate. And Bob, at what point is, he's 30, he's not 50, so let's not go crazy, but at what point do you have to start scaling back a bit?
I think Gibby will look for some slots in the second half to give Miggy some time off. Will Nieves has done such a great job, especially, against some left-handed pitchers, some tough lefties that figure to give Miguel some problems. Give him a little bit of a day of rest, maybe back it up with a scheduled off day.
Right to Hanley, it's short. Perfectly positioned up the middle, and that's the inning. So 1, 2, 3, 4 for Nolasco. We'll head to the top of the fifth. It's 2-0 Dodgers.
to make sure you're right, and I think we took the adequate steps to get right. So I'm excited to be here, definitely.
July 9th, but it feels like, I mean, Willie kind of said the same thing. Does it feel like opening day?
Oh, yeah, definitely feels like opening day. A well-deserved opening day. These past months have been very hectic, and my wife and I and my family are excited to help this team win.
A well-deserved opening day, the Geico quote of the day from Adam Eaton, who has made his return. And again, the arm seems to be ready to go. He's been throwing for 5 or 6 weeks. Kirk Gibson described it as really finishing his rehab here, much like Didi Gregorius did. But Gibson was asked if he's going to tell him to be careful on throws. He said, no, but we want to be smart with all of our throws anyway. He said, coming in on the ball, no problem. When he's going side to side, the key is getting the mechanics together to make the proper throw. So Adam, excited to be back, guys.
Well, we're excited to have him, Jody, that's for sure. It was very compelling to watch him in spring training and think about what he could bring to this lineup every day. And of course, it didn't go the way anyone wanted with the elbow injury and then the setback, but it's great to have him back here now. And Kirk Gibson has said his rehab stint was scheduled to end anyway. They brought him up a day or two early, maybe. So he will play tonight. He will not play tomorrow, says Gibby. At least that's what Kirk Gibson said before the game today. Ricky Nolasco leads off the 5th. He had an RBI single his first time.
Yeah, they call him Ricky Nolasco. His real name is Carlos Enrique Nolasco. His father was born in Mexico and was a huge Dodger fan, and his favorite player was Rick Monday, hence the Enrique for a middle name. Everybody's always just called him Ricky.
And now here he is as a Dodger. It's going to be pretty cool. Nolasco, a Southern California native, pitched at Rialto High School. 4th round pick by the Cubs in the 0-1 draft. He's already got an RBI single, and now he's found the gap in right center. That gets all the way to the wall. Ricky Nolasco takes the turn. He's in there with an easy stand-up double, his second double this year, and his second hit tonight against Ian Kennedy.
It just has to make better pitches. Anybody with a piece of wood in their hands is dangerous, and Ian Kennedy's just thrown some fastballs right down the middle of the plate to Ricky Nolasco, and he has hammered him.
It seems, Bob, like Ian occasionally struggles finding a put-away pitch.
Yeah, many times he jumps ahead 0-1, sometimes 0-2, 1-2 in those situations where you can expand the zone.
Terrific bunt by Carl Crawford, and Miguel Montero can't make the play with Crawford's speed. He beats it out up the line. And that's Carl Crawford's first hit since returning from the DL. Snaps an 0 for 18 skid. He's on first with a bunt single.
Oh, just perfectly dropped down that third base line. Can't really tell if that ball might have curled into foul territory. It was rubbing up against that infield grass right there, but Miggy bare hands it, makes an off-balance throw on to first, and with Crawford's speed, he's able to leg that one out.
Now 7 hits for the Dodgers. They have first and third no outs for Yasiel Puig. How do you play this?
Well, you got to keep an eye on Crawford over there at first. He is a legitimate stolen base threat in this Dodgers lineup, but you still pitch Puig the same way that you tried to do in his first 2 at-bats. Stay out of the middle of the plate, jam him in with fastballs, throw across the top of the zone even higher. Just don't make a mistake in that strike zone.
Carl Crawford has 9 stolen bases. Don't forget he's missed a lot of the season with injuries. He's been caught 3 times. And there he is at 441 stolen bases. Perhaps the game's best stealer in Tampa Bay. He's stolen more than 50 bases in a season 5 times, including a career high 60 in 2009.
Yeah, normally I would expect Crawford to try to get himself a jump and steal his way into scoring position, but with Puig, Gonzalez, and Ramirez, the next 3 hitters, the way they've been swinging the bat, you don't want to run into an out on the bases.
Big swing and a miss from Puig, 2-1.
Sitting fastball all the way. Ian Kennedy drops a changeup on him, gets him way out in front.
Puig has singled and grounded out 1 for 2. He's definitely moving the ball around on Puig, varying location, speeds.
And this is more patience than we saw from Puig in the ball game last night. He would have swung at the rosin bag if he threw it up there last night.
Bases loaded. A double, a single, and a walk to open the fifth. That's the first walk issued by Ian Kennedy. He has hit a batter tonight. So Nolasco's at third, Carl Crawford at second. Yasiel Puig at first. Nobody out. Here's Adrian Gonzalez 0 for 2.
Best double play candidate in this Dodgers lineup. Gonzalez does not run well at all. 8 times this year he's grounded into a double play.
He runs like a filing cabinet.
The 8 double plays grounded into actually is a little bit of a surprise for me because Gonzalez has so much lift in his swing. He doesn't hit a lot of ground balls.
Ian's got to pitch his way out of a mess here. Bases full and no outs. Lifted in the air to center field. Adam Eaton backing up. He's at the track. He's at the wall. And he stumbles, falls. It's off the glove. Velasco will score. They wave it. Crawford, he will score. Puig heads for third. And the Dodgers tack on one more. And here's a play at the plate. Puig is out. Yasiel Puig runs into it out. He gets stopped at third. Adam Eaton, his first game back, had it clank off the glove. And the Dodgers had 2 more.
Like Eaton was unsure whether to turn and play a carom off the wall or go all the way back to the wall and try to make a catch. He got his foot hung up right there on the warning track. Looked like he was still in a position to make the play as he's falling. He's got a bead on it. He gets his glove up. Just hits off the little finger of that glove, and this is just trying to do way too much here by Puig. Diamondbacks defenders all had their heads up. They were alert, aware of the situation. Puig tried to catch him by surprise, but they weren't surprised.
Hanley Ramirez to center. Adam Eaton backing up again. He's got it. And Gonzalez stays put at second. That's the second out. This is Puig, and Bob, we've talked about. He's like a charging bull in a china shop out there. Very raw.
Yeah, he doesn't really have great baseball instincts. He's got tremendous physical tools, but I don't think he quite knows how to apply them to the game of baseball just yet.
Marvin Hudson made sure that Miggy still had the ball, and then he signaled Puig was out. Is that okay for you at the plate, that contact?
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised it wasn't worse, to be honest with you.
Here's Andre Ethier. He has struck out and singled. That is rolled up the line to third. Prado juggles it down there. And they can't get Ethier at first. Diamondback defense has let them down tonight.
Tried to make the backhand play. Just enough to slow it down. He's able to grab it out of midair with the bare hand, but just not enough time to throw on to get Ethier at first base. Very uncharacteristic, sloppy defense from the Diamondbacks here tonight. I talked about it last night. That was one huge advantage I felt the D-backs had over the Dodgers. They lead the National League in fewest errors made as a defense. The Dodgers have made the most in the National League.
And the Diamondbacks now have 3 errors tonight, 2 of them in this inning. Marvin Hudson out to break up the conference with Charles Nagy and Ian Kennedy. Runners on the corners and 2 down here. 2 runs in the inning. A.J. Ellis. He has singled, scored, and struck out, 1 for 2. It's an E5 on Prado, by the way, sending Gonzalez to third and Ethier aboard at first. Diamondbacks at this point have more errors than hits, 3-2. Pulled the string, 2-1. Gonzalez at third, Ethier at first. Gonzalez and Prado having a running conversation. Good location there, 2-2. This is not exactly, hey, how are you doing? This is a little animated. Iggy keeps that one in front. Gonzalez stays put at third. It's full 3-2. Skip Schumacher is on deck. High in the air, left field line. Gregorius, Kubel near the seats. At the line, he's got it. And the Dodgers strand 2, but 2 runs come across. Some sloppy defense by the Diamondbacks has turned this into a 4-0 LA lead. Fun times at the Ranproach Pool. Great place to watch a game, so come join us here at Chase Field. Kirk Gibson and Adam Eaton having a conversation.
Well, it's not like giving his staff to let anything fester. If something happens out there on the field, whether it's at the plate, on the bases, or defensively, rather than wait until post-game to talk about it when a lot of time has elapsed, a lot of things have happened since the incident, they address it right away.
So it's a 4-0 Dodger lead as we start the home half of the fifth. Martin Prado, Jason Kubel, and Didi Gregorius
against Ricky Nolasco. Nolasco has set down 6 in a row and 10 of the last 11 he's faced. He's given up only 2 hits. Glenn Sherlock in the bullpen. Phone is ringing.
Yeah, Ian Kennedy's spot due up 4th in this inning.
Josh Coleman hydrating. Martin Prado really looking good up there lately. He's hit safely in 10 of his last 12 games, 333 over that span, including 3 home runs. Played his 10th game of the season in left field last night. Was scheduled to play left field before the game, but Eric Chavez was scratched with right hip stiffness, so Prado was moved to third. Jerry Hairston Jr. kicks that one. Prado's aboard to lead off the 5th. I've heard that hitting and good pitching are contagious.
It looks like sloppy defense may be contagious too. Harrison took a real funny line to his left there. He actually put himself in a position to have a real tough hop. If he comes in one step, he smothers that ball on the short hop. That'll be an E5.
Prado aboard. Here's Jason Kubel, struck out his first time. Bob, Jason's been a bit of a mystery this year. What are you seeing from Jason Kubel?
Just no consistency. I mean, a lot of it has to do with his sporadic playing time. He's in, he's out, he's in, he's out. Had some injuries early in the season he was trying to play through. It just doesn't seem like he's ever really hit any kind of a consistent rhythm with his swing.
Of course, he battled the quad injury in April that had him on the DL, suffered in Milwaukee. Knee and ankle injuries both in the spring and again in May. In and out of the lineup, as you mentioned. And you keep waiting for him to just drive a couple of baseballs.
Occasionally, I think it's been pitch selection, and that gets back to the inconsistent playing time.
What's going on with these two?
Well, the guy on the right's team is beating the pants off the guy on the left. I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, Dodgers came in here with a little attitude in this series. Little swagger that we didn't see from them earlier this year.
They look like a beaten team. But things have changed. Health and a checkbook will do that for you. Now watch when Prado gets to first after reaching on the error. And remember, they had been talking at third in the other portion of this inning. Not looking at each other, but Martin is raising an objection to something. Three and two. Oh, Steve Sachs. That's how do you score that E, coach?
Well, he's got his hands full of protective gear down there.
Yeah, I've always felt they should give the first base coach one of those little carts like you get at Target, you carry around, or Walmart.
Or a little trap door in the coach's box right there. You could just drop it all in and then grab it at the end of the inning.
You got to hold everybody's pads and stuff, wristbands, gloves. Kubel right to him, then they double off Prado. Well, we said we wanted to see Jason Kubel hit a ball hard. He roped that one down the first base line, but right to Gonzalez, who steps on the bag, and Prado's out. Don't get any easier than that for a first baseman. So 2 down now. Here's Didi, singled his first time. Speaking of Jason Kubel, Bob, I think the same thing you can maybe talk about with Didi here. When he first came up, he was pulling a lot of balls down that left field or right field line, pardon me. It showed great pull power. Not necessarily home runs. He had a few, but would always hit the ball down that line with authority.
And we saw teams start to pitch him differently, coming inside hard with the fastballs right at his hands, and then a lot of off-speed stuff on the outer part of the plate. And Didi's in the process of making an adjustment of his own.
Does he bunt enough for you?
I don't know if he's a great bunter, but I think he should bunt more. He's got good enough speed to leg him out for a base hit, and even if he doesn't get base hits, the advanced scouts sitting behind home plate are going to make a note of it, so the next series the corner infielders are going to be playing in to protect against the bunt, and then maybe it's a bind.
Goes downstairs and gets that one listed to Puig and right, and that's the inning. We're through 5. Diamondbacks trail it 4-0. Brewers Friday, 5,000 fans get a set of D-backs playing cards courtesy of Gila River Casinos. Then Saturday, July 13th, 20,000 fans will get this D-backs beach towel. Sunday, 5,000 kids take home the back-to-school backpack courtesy of Cox Communications. So call now for tickets, 602-462-4600. Log on to dbacks.com tickets and join us at Chase Field for 4 against the Brewers and some great giveaways over the weekend. Schumacher, Hairston, and the pitcher spot here for LA in the top of the 6th against Ian Kennedy. Dodgers have out-hit the Diamondbacks 7-2. 3 Diamondback errors tonight. Very uncharacteristic of this ball club. That's been the best defensive team in baseball all year long.
Well, this will certainly be Ian Kennedy's last inning of work. His spot is due up in the bottom half of the 6th inning, so he's going to empty the tank here.
And Bob, he's the opening day starter and has been so for 3 consecutive years now. But this is his 9th start this season against the National League West, and so far he is 1-7 and right now on the hook for 1-8 against his division. That one gets down. Schumacher leads off the 6th with a base hit.
Well, once again, a 1-2 pitch. You've got the batter on the defensive. You've got him in the hole. A 91-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle of the plate. Just not able to execute those put-away pitches. Not able to set up the put-away pitches. Belt high, middle of the plate, and he was ahead in the count 1-2. And from what we understand, Ian Kennedy in years past, that had always been his forte, his ability to spot pitches, mix it up, use that straight changeup, use the occasional curveball, but it all worked off of his command of the fastball, and it just has not been there with any consistency this year.
Hairston Jr. to center. Adam Eaton's there, one away. They have changed the scoring on one of those plays, so now 2 Diamondback errors. The Ethier play on the ball hit to third has been changed. They're now ruling that a base hit and not an error on Martin Prado. So take the error on Prado away in the Ethier at bat in the 5th and give Ethier a base hit. Ricky Nolasco, he's 2 for 2. Single, double RBI. He scored a run, and he'll try to move Schumacher along here. Montero has one play, and Schumacher moves up 90 feet, 2 down.
Left fielder, Carl Crawford.
I think that's a good scoring change because Martin was trying to backhand that ball, the one that Ethier hit, and had to turn and make the throw from behind the third base bag in foul ground. That was not an easy play. Carl Crawford singled and scored his last time up, 1 for 3. Bullpen is busy. Tony Sipp. Oh, pretty well rested bullpen, in fact. Pitch number 100 from Ian Kennedy on the way. Ian had the worst start of his career June 6th at St. Louis. 10 runs on 13 hits in 4 innings. However, that start may have been a turning point for Ian. He's pitched much more aggressively since the Cardinals beat him up a bit. He's been attacking hitters more, moving the ball around, a little more attitude out there. And it started with that game in LA when the bench is emptied. That one is just absolutely yanked down the line and fouled. Since that disaster in St. Louis, Ian has allowed 2 or fewer runs in 3 of his last 4 starts. And this one would be going a lot better if the defense hadn't let him down here or there. Runs it full to Crawford, 3-2. Puig is on deck. This is Ian Kennedy's first start at home since May 15th. Beat the Braves 5-3. His last 7 starts all on the road. Diamondbacks went 2-5 in those 7 starts. Ian pitched in Colorado, Chicago, St. Louis, LA, San Diego, Atlanta, and New York. All in between his starts here in his own field.
Just the quirks of the schedule. Occasionally it'll work out that way. And usually for every guy like Ian Kennedy that finds himself pitching on the road quite a bit, there's somebody who gets all the home starts.
Yep. And of course you throw in a 10-game suspension. That certainly added to that equation. But he's over 100 pitches now. First start since May 15th. 7 straight on the road. During that streak, Ian went 1-1 with an ERA of almost 6. 3-2. 2-out walk to Carl Crawford. Just the second walk issued by Ian Kennedy tonight. This is in the 5th. Gonzalez to center. Adam Eaton stumbled, lost it, and here's Puig trying to take that extra base. Oh, a little Dikembe Mutombo finger wag from Miguel Montero. You saw Prado and Gonzalez jawing a bit. What do you think about that?
Why do that? Why give them any more reason? Why give them any more motivation? You just made the guy look like a fool trying to score on nothing. The cutoff man was standing out there just beyond the infield dirt holding the baseball. You threw him out by a mile at home plate. I don't know. That's just me. Just play the game.
Well, Don Mattingly said when we were at Dodger Stadium, nobody wants throwing at guys' heads. Nobody wants to see brawls and empty benches and bullpens. But on the other hand, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of bad blood. And we've certainly seen that tonight. They've kept Puig under control, relatively speaking. He singled in the first, grounded out in the third, reached on a walk in the fifth, and was thrown out at the plate trying to score. Kennedy ahead here, 1-2. Ian over 100 pitches for the 11th time this year. His high for the season is 116. That came Thursday against the Mets.
That's as good a discipline as we've seen from Puig all season long. He normally chases that high fastball. He's had a real hard time laying off. Able to check his swing that time to run the count to 2-2.
Going upstairs again, and he lays off again. Keep in mind, Ian Kennedy has already hit one batter tonight. He plunked Hanley Ramirez in the first. Schumacher at second, and Crawford at first. 3-2, 2 outs. Runners will be off with a pitch. Bases loaded. He has walked Puig for the second straight at bat. So Puig showing a little discipline here, and that appears to be enough for Kirk Gibson. Gonzalez is due up. The left-hander Tony Sipp has been warming, and that's it for Ian Kennedy. He'll leave the bases loaded here in the 6th. 3 walks and a hit batter for Ian. He's given up 9 hits. He has 2 strikeouts. And he is responsible for 3 base runners. We have a pitching change here at Chase Field. Here comes Tony Sipp. Bases full and 2 outs. Chance to catch a game from the RamTrucks.com pool. Just look for specially marked packages of Pepsi 12-ounce cans for your chance to find the limited edition Diamondbacks can. Pepsi, live for now. Tony Sipp inherits a mess here. Bases loaded, 2 outs. He appeared in the series opener and the series finale against the Mets in New York. Both games went extra innings. This is his 39th appearance on the season. He's worked a lot lately. 8 appearances since June 21st. He's worked 5 1/3 over that span. 4 runs on 6 hits with 7 strikeouts. Schumacher on third, Crawford on second, and Yasiel Puig on first. They'll face Adrian Gonzalez. There's Ian Kennedy, responsible for 3 base runners. 4 runs, 3 earned on 8 hits and 5 2/3. He walked 3 and hit a batter. Gonzalez drove the ball deep to center his last time up. Tony worked 2/3 of an inning last night and looked good. Struck out Crawford and Puig. Came on with 1 out in the 8th.
A slight edge putting a left-handed pitcher on Adrian Gonzalez. I think he's about 279 against lefties, over 300 against righties, but all of his power has come against right-handed pitching. 12 of his 13 homers have come against right-handers.
One and two.
That's why you bring your glove. Oh, nice. Over the railing. Wow, I don't know.
I like it.
I think that's deserving of a contract.
Yep. We'll get on that after this inning. 1 and 2 to Gonzalez. There are the platoon splits for Adrian.
Still gets his hits and his ribbies against lefties, but like you were talking about last night, more of a singles hitter against left-handed pitching. Hits for more power against the righties.
To left, that gets down. Schumacher scores. Here comes Crawford. He will score. And the Dodgers take a 6-0 lead. 2-run single with 2 outs for Adrian Gonzalez. Both runs charged to Ian Kennedy.
Gonzalez has been doing this for a long time among active players. He's 5th all time with a .329 batting average with runners in scoring position. Talk about it all the time in reference to Paul Goldschmidt. Those run producers, it's not always going to be a majestic home run or a ball hitting a gap. Many times it's just a battling at bat, put the ball in play, find a hole, get their teammates on the plate.
Puig at second, Gonzalez at first, still 2 outs, and here is Hanley Ramirez. He's been hit by a pitch, grounded out and flied out. Hanley trying to extend a 19-game hitting streak, batting .486 during his streak. Boy, Bob, these guys look like a different team. Just body language, attitude, posture, the way they carry themselves. There's a little bit of arrogance that you can see out there.
Well, right up until that last point, I thought you were talking about the D-backs, because they don't look like the same ball club that we saw against Colorado Rockies. A team that played with a lot of confidence.
Well, how much of the... Here's a good question, because one dynamic often plays off another. How much of that has to do with the way the Dodgers have looked here? Because they came in here hot as anything, best team in baseball over the last 2 weeks or so. You see Puig mania, all that stuff.
Yep. And the Diamondbacks obviously not playing their style of baseball so far in this series. They've been sloppy on defense. They haven't been able to get anything going offensively against this Dodger pitching staff.
1-1.
There's an old saying in this game, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. Obviously the Dodgers rolling into Arizona as hot as any team in baseball.
They were 9.5 games out of the division lead on June 22nd. Since then they've picked up 6 games. They are 10-2 in their last 12 against the NL West. They have won 13 of 16 to move within 3.5 games of the Diamondbacks division lead tonight, and they lead at 6-0. Big strikeout there by Tony Sipp. Dodgers strand 2, but they get 2 more across. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th at 6-0 LA. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Another look at Adam Eaton when we come back.
into the bottom half of the 6th. The D-backs versus the Brewers series starts this Thursday, July 11th. For any of the D-backs versus Brewers games, you can get a D-backs value pack that includes a free 6-inch Subway sandwich. That's right. For just $21, you can get a lower level bleacher ticket, a Pepsi, a cookie, and a 6-inch Subway sandwich. That's a great deal. So call now to purchase 602-462-4600 or log on to dbacks.com/value.
A.J. Pollock hits for the pitcher to lead off the 6th. Pollock eating Parra 9-1-2 against Ricky Nolasco. Rally caps in place, down 6-0 here. Diamondbacks have been out hit 10-2. A.J. 1 for 10 with a double as a pinch hitter this year. Lifts that one high in the air, third base side. Shallow left, Ramirez. One away. It's a big league pop-up. Adam Eaton, his first game back. So far, he has grounded out and popped up. Adam, throughout his professional career, has shown a unique ability to get on base. Career minor league on base percentage of .450. He's been a career .348 hitter in the minor leagues. J.J. Putz warming up. Last year in Reno, Adam Eaton hit .381. He was named Pacific Coast League MVP, stole 38 bases. And at 2 different levels last year, finished with 198 hits, the most in the minor league since 2003. And this was the plan right out of the gate here. First day of spring training, Bob. This guy was going to be in center field every day and bat leadoff. They certainly like what they saw. Came up at the end of last year, made his major league debut September 4th, played in 22 games. Hit .259, couple of home runs. Showed enough talent and played with enough spark that the Diamondbacks decided they were all in, and they were going to go with Adam Eaton. He lifts that one to right field. Yasiel Puig is there. 2 down, Eaton 0 for 3. Two down, here's Gerardo Parra 0 for 2. Boy, we couldn't do anything with Ricky Nolasco in Miami. He had 11 strikeouts and looked very impressive, and it's gone essentially the same way tonight. He's only got 4 strikeouts, Bob, but he has been in control throughout.
Just not a lot of good contact tonight. A lot of lazy fly balls and easy ground balls hit to the infield. He's keeping that ball off the barrel of the bat for the most part. Really mixing his pitch as well.
Nolasco's last start was Wednesday for the Marlins. That was at Atlanta. Gave up 2 runs on 6 hits in 7 and had 7 strikeouts. And now Parra pulls a Cody Ross and loses the bat. Some Dodger fans are down there trying to get it. That's become Cody's thing. Cody says he likes to hold the bat with a very light grip. Wouldn't like to, have a stranglehold on that thing. Says he hits better with it. Yeah, it was funny because Parra was the one that was handing him in the dugout. We had the shot of Gerardo jokingly handing him Stickum and some spray. And yeah, not so funny now, is it? 0-1.
Well, not always, but most of the time when you see that, it's because a hitter was fooled badly on an off-speed pitch and tried to extend his swing, and by doing so you loosen the grip on the bat a little bit, try to let it slide just a little bit out of your hands to try to get the end of the bat on the pitch, and then it comes loose.
Paul Goldschmidt a single in the first. Didi Gregorius a single in the third. That's been all the Diamondbacks offense tonight. Of course, if you're not sure about your grip or anything, you can get some professional coaching at the Diamondbacks Baseball Academy right here in the ballpark. And this is that's big league. Got coaches down there, cage, machine.
Of course, if you lose the bat there, you might break a window.
He's got the Parra t-shirt on right there. Look at that. Nice. Worked out well, and Nolasco bounces that one. Ricky Nolasco, the Marlins franchise leader all time in starts, wins, and strikeouts. He pitched parts of 8 seasons there. 81 and 72 in ERA, almost at 4.5. 1,001 strikeouts for the Marlins franchise. Traded to the Dodgers on Saturday in exchange for 3 prospects. This is his Dodger debut. Southern California native. That one is rolled to first. Gonzalez. Velasco covers, and they just do get Gerardo Parra. A 1-2-3-6 for Ricky Velasco. We're through 6. He leads at 6-0. AT&T Twitter poll update. We'll keep this open throughout the week here. Who will win the final National League All-Star vote? 67% say Yasiel Puig. Freddie Freeman is leading the actual voting. This is our own poll we're conducting. And we'll continue to take your votes throughout the week at Fox Sports Arizona. Don't forget All-Star Game coming up only on Fox. There is Yasiel Puig. New pitcher for the Diamondbacks is J.J. Putz. Bob, they continue to find J.J. some work in non-leverage situations, trying to build that arm strength and that velocity back up.
And unfortunately, this is a good situation for J.J. tonight, trailing by 6 runs. Just want to get him an inning or 2 of work here, depending on pitch count. And as you said, continue to build that arm strength. Hopefully see a spike in that velocity.
Well, he was last out there working the 9th on Friday when he took over for Tyler Skaggs after Skaggs had pitched 8 innings of 3-hit ball and looked so good. J.J. worked a 1-2-3 9th. Struck out Jonathan Herrera, retired LeMahieu and Dickerson. He pitched in a series opener against the Mets at Citi Field last week. Had a blown save. That was really his first big test in the comeback from the elbow strain. Suffered May 7th, coincidentally, not ironically, against the Dodgers. That one is chopped to short. Didi Gregorius. Ethier hustling up the line all the way. One away.
What about this, partner?
What do you got?
Reno's playing at Fresno tonight, and they lead 7-3 in the 7th inning. Chris Owings 3 for 3 with 3 homers.
What do you do with him? They've cornered the market on shortstop talent. They have Didi. They have Nick Ahmed at AA, who they like a lot. Owings has been, for much of the season, leading the league in hitting. He's been at or above 350 all year. He's only 21 years old. It's an interesting question. I'm sure teams are calling Kevin Towers about him. But if you're all in on Didi, what do you do with Chris Owings? You've signed Aaron Hill long term, so you can't move him to second. You have Matt Davidson and Prado long term at third. Kind of all full up. No room at the end here for Chris Owings.
Well, I mean, it does provide some serious depth at that shortstop position, just in case anything should happen. And quite honestly, the Diamondbacks don't have to do anything with him yet.
Sure.
I mean, he's putting up just crazy numbers down there at AAA, but they don't really have to make any kind of a move with Chris Owings at this point.
You've got Willie on the DL. You've got Cliff Pennington, who's done a great job playing second, short, and third. One and two to A.J. Ellis. He's 1 for 3, singled and scored in the second. Chris Owings is a really nice player. Very athletic, really strong arm. Clearly, we found out he can hit at the AAA level. He's hitting 350 or so. You'd like to see him take a few more walks. He's not a wild swinger per se, but he's an aggressive hitter. It's an interesting call. But he's very much like Nick Ahmed. Ahmed's a much bigger kid, but very athletic out there. They're a physical presence at shortstop, middle infield spots, much like Didi. Back with you tomorrow for the series finale here. Pre-game show at 6, first pitch at 6:40.
Well, and all the things we were just talking about, other organizations are well aware of the depth that the Diamondbacks have at that particular position.
And that's a premium position. As Putz rings up Ellis 2 down. Nice location there from JJ.
I mean, we assume when teams call the Diamondbacks or the Diamondbacks call teams and trade talks are initiated that it's all the young pitching. And certainly I would imagine that's the first topic of conversation. But, you know, once you get guys off of Archie Bradley and Tyler Skaggs and others down there at the minor league level, I would imagine the next topic is what about some of your young shortstops?
Skip Schumacher. Shortstop, there he is. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th, and as promised earlier, here's a special look at the new film, Grown Ups 2, in theaters everywhere on Friday.
All right, fans, it's time for the 7th inning stretch. Somebody
of the trade, Didi Gregorius in the middle of our athletic shortstop discussion. Nicely done.
Some good ups there by Didi. Took every bit of it.
That's our Ram Trucks tools of the trade. Didi Gregorius is Paul Goldschmidt. Leads off the 7th, and back with us in the booth after his extended vacation is Joe Borowski. Did you go back to New Jersey?
No, I actually went to the West Coast, and I was on assignment in California.
On assignment.
Yes,
Nicely done.
I was on assignment.
How do I get one of those assignments?
I had some people pull some strings.
Goldie knocks that one to center. Ethier's there, allowed out number 1. What do you make of these first-place Diamondbacks? They look, Joe, very much like a different team here against the Dodgers than they did over the weekend against the Rockies.
And that's what's so baffling about the last 2 games. It's as if they're not the first-place team, and they're a last-place team that's playing right now, especially coming off a sweep of the Rockies, and then you have the Dodgers coming in. After the last incident in Dodger Stadium, you think that they would be pumped up for it. It doesn't seem that way.
Yeah, you forget the Rockies were the second-place team at the start of that series.
Yep.
Here's Aaron Hill.
And you know how important inter-division games are. You would think that they would be really pumped up for these games.
It's amazing how that guy's team has changed over the course of the last month. They look like a beaten group when we were at Dodger Stadium. They had no life at all. They were listless, no energy. And they're very much a different team here. Aaron Hill drives that one to the gap. You see a Puig can't quite get there. Now Aaron Hill will stop at second. Ethier over there to cover. And Aaron Hill has his 10th double. You see a Puig made a tremendous effort but came up just short. Just the 3rd Diamondbacks hit tonight.
The last 2 balls have been struck well, however. Goldie's line drive to center, and this blast to the gap in right center. Puig took a real bad line to that ball. Nice effort at the very end, able to just get a glove on it.
He's used to making every play. I mean, what are we doing? This isn't Little League.
Apparently it is.
I mean, come on, man. Miguel Montero. Joe, you ever seen a guy like this, Puig? He's been a major leaguer for 1 month.
What's amazing about it is you can be fiery and emotional, but you can't wear it on your sleeve like he does. And it's to the detriment of what he's putting out there as the type of player he is.
Adrian Gonzalez. Aaron Hill to 3rd, 2 down.
If he gets that upset after missing a diving attempt in the gap in right center, what's going to happen when he goes 0 for 25?
Yeah, whatever happened to letting your field of work speak for itself?
Well, you have to remember, I think, in fairness, what he's been through just to get to this country. And there was a tremendous article on Yahoo Sports about what he went through trying to get out of Cuba time and time again. They interviewed the Coast Guard crew that spent time with Puig during one attempt to defect to the U.S. in April of last year. He was intercepted somewhere between Cuba and Haiti on a speedboat and held in open water for 2 weeks. He tried to go to Rotterdam and was caught there. He on and on and on. He finally got into Mexico and escaped on about the 8th or 9th try. You know, I don't want to make excuses for him, but what he's been through at a young age just to get here is it's a remarkable story, and I think we lose perspective on that just a bit sometimes. Here's Prado. Over the glove of Gonzalez, and the Diamondbacks are on the board. Aaron Hill scores RBI single for Martin Prado. It's a 6-1 game. I mean, Yasiel Puig was even no longer allowed to play on his team in Cienfuegos, Cuba, because he had tried to defect the year before at Rotterdam and was caught. So they even took baseball away from him. So he had to get out of the country. He and the rest of some migrants on a speedboat were detained by a Coast Guard crew for 2 weeks in open water. They said he was very friendly, cooperative, a good companion. They were forced to turn him back over to Cuban authorities. He autographed some balls for the Coast Guard crew when they found out he was a baseball player. Everything he owned in the world was in a trash bag on a boat in open water. And 2 months later, he landed somewhere in Mexico and was able to begin his U.S. baseball career. But it's been an amazing story. And he said everything in the Yahoo Sports story was true. He about 6 or 8 defection attempts before he finally made it. His 22 years old, and sometimes he's going to act like a 22-year-old.
Definitely. And there's no denying the talent that he has. I think sometimes maybe you put somebody on a pedestal who's that talented at such a young age, and you think that all of a sudden he's going to be the consummate professional right from the start.
I said this is a guy who had everything he owned in the world in a trash bag in open water somewhere between Cuba and Haiti, and now suddenly he's 22. He's been through all that, and he's got $42 million from the Dodgers. That's the other side of it. And how does he handle that? And the attention of baseball fans all over the country clamoring for him to get in the All-Star game. They want to see him. Dodgers haven't had a position player from Cuba since Zoilo Versailles in 1968. Jason Kubel for 2. Joe, Bob and I were talking about Jason, and what have you seen from him? Because it seems like his year hasn't started yet.
I think Bob said it perfectly. It's just you're not getting enough starts in a row. You can't get that rhythm down. It's too sporadic. I think the injuries definitely have played a huge role in that. And with any player as a hitter, you have to see repetition at the plate. You have to be in there for an extended period of time for you to get your timing in, for you to get recognition of pitches. I think all that's played a part in his struggles this year.
Now that recognition of pitches is a big part of it for Kubel too. We know what he can do when he swings at pitches he can handle.
3-2. Prado takes off. That's fouled away. They say that he swung, and now it's a strikeout that ends the inning. Joe, thanks very much. Good to have you back. We'll see you in the postgame show.
Glad to be here, guys.
We are through 7. Diamondbacks on the board, but they trail at 6-1.
At our Chevron upcoming matchup tomorrow, it will be Ryu against the left-hander Tyler Skaggs. Skaggs coming off a fantastic start Friday night against the Rockies, 8 scoreless innings, and he'll turn 22 on Saturday for Tyler Skaggs, his last start as a 21-year-old. And one interesting note about the 3 pitchers coming up, it will be Skaggs, Miley, and Patrick Corbin, the 3 lefties. And Kirk Gibson speaking yesterday about how he's going to align his pitching staff, his rotation after the All-Star break. One thing he knows that Corbin, who is headed to Citi Field, he will go 4th or 5th in that rotation, but he's not sure he likes all 3 lefties going together. Bob, it's interesting. Obviously, guys sometimes like to split that up so that managers on the other side have to switch things up, and you're not seeing 3 lefties in a row.
Yeah, the good news is they're all different enough in their style of pitching that I don't think it would be a huge advantage for opposing teams to see the three lefties in a row, but certainly wouldn't hurt anything to slide a right-hander in between those guys.
Well, it's not something that I imagine opposing teams would see very much of BB over the course of the year. Do you have any kind of an advantage there? In fact, the Diamondbacks, I got to go in there and now we get three lefties in a row. We don't see this at all.
Well, especially if your main offensive players are left-handed hitters.
Didi Gregorius having a nice day down there defensively. Goldie applies the tag, and Hairston's retired against Brad Ziegler to open the eighth. Lessons learned. They're going to hit for Nolasco here, who's been working through 7. Gave up only 4 hits and a run, 5 strikeouts. Brad Ziegler on now, and Nick Punto will hit for the pitcher. Brad Ziegler came back from the 10-game road trip, and he was one hurting unit. Ricky Nolasco's day is done. His Dodger debut went very well here. A run on 4 hits and 7. Punto lifts that one high in the air to center. Adam Eaton backing up, still backing up. He's at the track, and he's got it for the second out. Brad Ziegler worked 3 of the 4 games in the Mets series and was absolutely gassed at that point. Leading the major leagues in appearances, he gutted out a 15th inning save in that series finale to get the Diamondbacks a split in the 4-game series in New York and send everyone back home with a win. But boy, he was just absolutely exhausted coming off that final save. Here's Crawford. Crawford on base twice his last 2 times up, single and a walk. He scored 2 runs. The wear and tear was beginning to show on Brad Ziegler. He's made 16 appearances, given up only 1 earned run. Just 7 hits in more than 14 innings, but then he hit a wall in New York. An earned run in the series opener against the Mets, then 3 earned runs the next day before he staggered out to the mound to get that save in the series finale, his first of the year. But now, like most of the D-backs relievers, he is rested and ready to go. Roll to second, Aaron Hill. Brad Ziegler works a nice 1-2-3-8 home half of the game coming up. Diamondbacks down 6-1. Head to the home half of the 8th inning. Time for our APS Energy All-Star. He is Ricky Nolasco at his Dodger debut. A smashing success. 1 run on 4 hits and 7. No walks and 5 strikeouts and handshakes all around. This is why they went out and got him. They needed somebody to fill in with all those injuries. Billingsley, Beckett, Lilly all injured, and Nolasco over from Miami. So far, so good.
Brought up a good point earlier, too, partner. The fact that he put those numbers up coming into this game with the Miami Marlins, a very undermanned team down there. Still was a very effective pitcher, even though the numbers wouldn't indicate that. If this Dodger team continues to hit the way they have in this series and over the last 3 weeks, he's going to get a lot of wins by the end of the year.
Nick Punto stays in to play third base. Yeah, Nolasco had received the 4th worst run support in all of Major League Baseball. And now J.P. Howell is on to start the 8th. Last time we saw J.P. Howell, he was throwing Turner Ward over the top rope and into the camera well. But he has tossed scoreless relief in his last 6 appearances since June 25th. Cody Ross is out on deck. He'll hit for the pitcher. So Gregorius, Ross, and Eaton here. 8, 9, and 1 in the Arizona 8th. Diamondbacks have been out hit 10-4. They trail at 6-1.
Not sure if that's an OCD thing that Hal has going on out there when he bends over, touches the ground, touches his shoulder, taps his glove on the ground. We've seen hitters have a lot of unusual pre-swing routines, and pitchers are no different. They have things they feel like they have to do before they deliver that next pitch to home plate. See if he does it again. Taps his glove on the ground, hikes up that sleeve on the right shoulder, and he's ready to go.
Popped up, foul ground, third base side, and Howell makes a tremendous effort and can't quite get there. Boy, that's as good an effort after a foul ball from a pitcher as you'll see.
Oh, wasn't popped very high in the air. Nick Punto gave up on it rather quickly. Ellis couldn't get there from behind the plate. That is a great effort by Howell, sliding on that warning track.
Coming right at you.
Ball hit him in the leather, just wouldn't stay in there.
Gotta give him credit for that one. A.J. Ellis goes out there, so Howell can have a moment or two to gather himself. And it's 2-2 to Didi Gregorius. We were talking, Bob, earlier about all the young shortstops in the Diamondbacks system and what they might do with Chris Owings or even Nick Ahmed down there in Double-A. Kevin Towers was asked why the Diamondbacks had targeted Didi as a player they'd like to acquire in the offseason, and KT said they looked at where the free agent market is headed in terms of shortstops. Guys are getting very expensive, a lot of new TV money out there. And at the same time, just not a ton of shortstops out there on the market anyway. So the position is at something of a premium right now. And franchise shortstops are hard to find. So based on what the Diamondbacks had in their system, a lot of pitching depth, they traded Trevor Bauer, and they went and got a guy like Didi Gregorius, who drives that one to right field. Yasiel Puig is on the run near the pool, and he tracks it down. So they got a guy with, potential big upside at a premium position here in Didi, and they have cornered the market in a sense on that position and are now dealing, if they want to deal, from a position of strength with Ahmed and Owens and Gregorius.
I think that's something every organization tries to do. Get out in front of the curve a little bit. Pitching is always going to be at a premium. I don't care what organization you're talking about, what era you're talking about. Everybody's looking for pitching all the time. But if you look at rosters and you look at minor league rosters and you kind of project down the road 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years and see where there may be a shortage at one particular position, and you can stockpile a bunch of those guys, you can put yourself in a great position to make some moves.
Cody Ross, yeah, the Diamondbacks, they had Bauer, and they decided to move him, and you get a guy like Didi, who you then control for 6 years at a premium position, and you're still left with guys like Skaggs and Corbin, Delgado, Bradley, and others, Holmberg, on and on. And you add Gregorius to a system that already has Ahmed, which you got in the Prado deal, and you have Owings there. So a lot of pieces there. Organizational depth, that's a key. 0-2 to Cody, who's been crushing it against the Dodgers this year. 12 for 33 versus LA. That includes 2 doubles and a home run. Cody Ross as a pinch hitter this year, 2 for 7, a home run and 3 RBIs. There's a franchise cornerstone. All locked up. Paul Goldschmidt. Good matchup for Cody, one of the best hitters in baseball against left-handers. Bob, we were talking about Jason Kubel. In all fairness, he's kind of waiting for Cody to get going a little bit here. At least he's more consistently than he's been.
I think he's getting more consistent at bats than Jason is, and has started to show some better results recently.
Drives that one down the line and right. Pulled on a source. He won't get there. Goes to the bullpen wall. Cody Ross coasts into second base. And Cody Ross aboard with a 1-out double in the 8th. You know, it's already been killing the Dodgers, Bob.
Talking about Kubel and Cody Ross and all the guys that haven't had regular at-bats. And by regular at-bats, I mean playing 5 or 6 days a week, where you know when you come to the ballpark, you're going to be in a lineup, you're going to get 4 or 5 at-bats. Sometimes it's a psychological thing. You know you haven't seen good live pitching for 3 days, let's say, for example. Now you're going to go out there and face a guy like Ricky Nolasco or any one of the great pitchers in the National League. And you feel like you're not prepared because you haven't had those at bats. You're not ready to go out there and do battle against a tough pitcher. You make some outs. You feel bad about your outing. You don't play again for 2 or 3 days. And your most recent memory was a bad one. And so it just kind of feeds on itself.
Did you go through that when you were playing? Because you played sporadically at times.
Yeah. There were a lot of stages of my career where I played twice a week, and you try to hit a 7-run homer and try to go 7 for 4 at the plate, and it just doesn't work.
I'm sure Adam Eaton is going through a little bit of that tonight in his season debut. He's 0 for 3 so far.
Which is why so many teams elect to go with veteran players as their bench guys and their part-timers, because they've been through it. They've probably been a starting player at some point in their career. They've advanced to a stage now where, whether it's because of physical reasons or whatever, they can't play every day. But they know how to prepare for that 1 start a week or 2 starts a week or that 1 pinch hit appearance late in the ball game.
2-1.
For younger players, especially guys that have come up through the minor leagues as everyday guys, playing 140 games a season, playing winter ball, playing fall ball, playing every day in spring training, that's a rude awakening to get to the big leagues and find yourself as a part-time player. You just don't know how to deal with it.
I saw Eric Chavez. He's certainly the model for that. A veteran guy who knows his role, is happy with it, and physically probably can't play every day anyway, but he's playing enough so that he can stay sharp and contribute in a variety of different roles.
And has figured out a routine for the days that he doesn't play to keep him ready in case he needs to pinch hit or come in as part of a double switch. The starts that he does get, he's ready to go.
2-2. Adam Eaton strikes out. Hey fans, FoxSportsArizona.com, all your online local coverage. Jack McGruder will write all the implications of Adam Eaton's return. That's coming up right after the game. Post-game analysis and reaction from Jack as well. And Kirk Gibson says he sees a lot of his younger self in Yasiel Puig, the Dodgers phenom. Interesting. Should make for good reading at FoxSportsArizona.com. Here's Ronald Parra. Parra 0 for 3. When you're talking about, Bob, with young guys, people say, well, Chris Owings is hitting .350. Why don't you bring him up? Well, he's got to play. He's got to play every day. You want to continue that development. It doesn't do him any good to come up here and sit and watch.
We had that decision to make with the Rubio Durazo one spring. It was a tough decision to make, but we just didn't think it was going to serve a Rubio any purpose to sit on the bench and pinch hit and play 1 day a week. He was such a good hitter. We wanted him to get regular at bats, and the only way to do that was to send him down to Tucson, which was our AAA affiliate at the time, make sure he was getting 4 or 5 at bats every night. So if we did need him, he was ready to go.
It's a process, developing organizational depth at different positions at different levels. So there's a steady flow coming up. There's guys in AAA, there's guys in A-ball, there's guys in rookie league, all at different parts along the way at different stages. Look at Patrick Corbin. He was able to get 107 big league innings last year. Now he's an all-star.
Cross up there.
And we'll have to have a conversation about the signs.
Watch Ellis react to the plate. He thinks that's a fastball. Oh, goodness.
Marvin Hudson doesn't know how lucky he was.
So you want to be a catcher, huh?
A.J. Ellis is a funny guy. Talking about when he was an 18th round pick by the Dodgers in 03, Ellis joked he got a signing bonus of 2,500. Here's the 2-1.
Ellis, a perfect example of a guy that really had to pay his dues, slaved away in the minor leagues, had a cup of coffee in 2008. A little bit more in 09, 2010, 2011, and gradually worked his way into a starting position. Last year, played 133 games for the Dodgers.
And he was a non-prospect, and he shot his way up the organizational charts by becoming a very disciplined hitter and getting on base a lot. And they began to look at him. Now here he is.
And I mentioned earlier in the ballgame, defensively, he brings everything you want behind the plate. Blocks the ball well, throws extremely well.
He took a long time to get to the big leagues. He was never a prospect, really. In instructional league, he roomed with Chad Billingsley, who was the Dodgers' first-round pick that year. Next season in A-ball, he kind of turned into his personal catcher. They were teammates. They were roommates. Guys were calling him Chappie and Gus after Kevin Costner and John C. Reilly in that chick flick disguised as a baseball movie for love of the game. 2-2. Gonzalez. He'll take it himself. And the Diamondbacks strand the Cody Ross double. We'll go to the ninth. One more look at Yasiel Puig when we come back. Anti-bullying organization for kids and teens in the U.S. Stop Out Bullying focuses on prevent bullying and all forms of digital abuse. It educates against racism and hatred, deters violence in schools and online, and helps at-risk students. So you can learn more about it. So please help us. StopOutBullying.org. David Hernandez on. Well, Bob Brentley, Kurt Gibson said it was time for everybody to start getting an inning or two and work themselves back into game shape here after the long weekend off. And we've seen Sipp, Putz, Ziegler, and now Hernandez. Puig leads off the ninth.
Yeah, you would hope it would have been in a different circumstance with the D-backs up 6-1, but yeah, you got to get these guys back in the mix, get their release point back. Occasionally guys get a little bit too strong if they've had too much time off.
Yasiel Puig, you can see 2 walks right there. That's headline news. Up the middle, Didi Gregorius. Strong arm right there. Scouts grade on a 20-80 scale. 80 being out of this world, and Didi is rated as having a 70 arm.
I always had an issue with that too.
In 20 to 80?
20 to 80. Why not 0 to 100? Why is it 20 to 80? And I've asked scouts, and they can't even explain it. That's just the way it is.
Well, once you get started, you can't start having your own scale, and nobody knows what you're talking about. I got this as a 99. Wait a minute, it only goes up to 80. No, not on my scale. Yasiel Puig, 2 walks tonight. He had 5 walks all season. One of those was intentional coming, and he walked twice tonight of his own volition. Go home, Dodgers. Well, they won last night 6-1. They lead here 6-1.
Other National League West action tonight. The Mets lead the Giants 5-4 in the top of the 7th. Rockies trail the Padres 2-0 in the top of the 8th.
Gonzalez strikes out. Time for our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game. This happened earlier. Nice catch by the fan with the glove in the aisle, and he got a contract. We followed through with that, right? Our staff, told by the staff we did. That gentleman right there.
Yeah.
Nicely done, sir. Also gets the Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game. Nice job. So he gets, well, you get a lot with that contract, right? What do you get? You get 4 free tickets to a Diamondbacks game. That's in the dugout box. You also get 30% off at the team shop. So we get to give you 4 tickets in the dugout box seating area and a discount at the team store for a contract. Pretty good deal.
Pretty good deal.
It's not just a piece of paper. Put a lot behind it. Talked about Hanley Ramirez and his 19-game hitting streak. It is on the line right now. He's behind 0-1. And the Ramirez 19-game hitting streak, batting .486 during the streak. The longest by a Dodger since Ethier hit in 30 straight in 2011. .486 over the streak. And the streak will end here. Bottom 9 all the way. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Paul Goldschmidt, Aaron Hill, and Miguel Montero. Diamondbacks down 6-1. Express, presented by Cox Communications and Fry's Food Stores, is headed to D-backs games July 28th or August 11th, so stop by and sign up. Try this month's participating Fry's Marketplace in San Rita or the Cox Retail Store in Tucson, and you can enter to win 2 seats on the Fan Express bus back and forth to Chase Field with you and your D-backs buddies wearing Sedona red, Goldie on the side, the whole thing. Well, we've already seen our buddies from the brawl. We saw Howell earlier. Here's Belisario.
Belisario was anything but a peacemaker in that bench-clearing brawl down at Dodger Stadium.
It was just a big misunderstanding.
He almost clocked his own teammate Nick Punto.
It'll be Goldie, Aaron Hill, and Miguel Montero, the birthday boy, here in the 9th. Diamondbacks have been out hit 10-5. They trail at 6-1. Nicky turning 30 today.
Yeah, Miggy, the third scheduled hitter. I think he and Ronald had some words that night. Yeah, Belisario was one of the more outspoken Dodgers after the brawl. Most everybody else chose to kind of take the high road and say it's just part of the game and we hope it never happens again. And Belisario was one that said it's not over.
Yeah. Well, Ian Kennedy did hit Hanley Ramirez tonight in the first, so that's sitting there somewhere if you're keeping track of such things.
With a changeup.
Yeah. Inside to Goldie there, 2-1. Only 3 major league players have at least 20 home runs, 70 RBIs, and a 300 batting average. Chris Davis, Miguel Cabrera, and, drumroll please, Paul Goldschmidt. '96, 2-2. Goldie leading the National League, 74 RBIs. He's 5 ahead of the Cardinals' Alan Craig. 1 for 3 tonight, singled in the first. Goldie off to another hot start this month. He's hit safely in 5 straight and 7 of 8 to begin July. He's not had any luck against Belisario. Goldie so far this month hitting .355 with 7 RBIs. And we have the bobblehead. We had him up in the booth earlier. You might have seen it when Joe Borowski was up here with us. We have the regular version and the special gold edition. Special 1,000 fans will receive the gold Goldie bobblehead. 2-2. Hanley Ramirez. 1 away in the 9th. Goldie bobblehead day coming up in August. I think we're playing the Mets that day. Yeah, August 10th. Playing the Mets. Paul Goldschmidt bobblehead day. Get your tickets at dbacks.com. Get a Goldie bobblehead, and you might get a special gold finger version. Aaron Hill doubled and scored his last time up, 1 for 3. Aaron hitting an even .300 since his return from the hand injury. In fact, he's now scored, this is amazing, he's now scored 11 runs in 15 games since he's been back.
A little different role for Aaron Hill if he finds himself entrenched in that 4 spot in the lineup. Before, he was hitting in front of Paul Goldschmidt, getting on base at a good clip. That's why he was scoring a lot of runs. If he ends up hitting behind Goldie, he's going to have a lot more RBI opportunities.
And you see that pad he's got on the top of his left hand to prevent the fracture. It's got that big black pad on the top of that batting glove right there. Look at that. It's like a fanny pack, for crying out loud. Just to protect that non-union fracture in the hand. The fracture never did heal. And the Ramirez again. Diamondbacks down to their last out. Aaron will decide at the end of the year if he wants to have surgery on that hand. He'll do another test, another MRI, and then make a decision on that. Says it feels fine, bothers him once in a while, but for the most part it's okay. Miguel Montero on his 30th birthday today is 0 for 3. He's in a 2 for 20 skid right now. If he's going to hit anybody, it might be right here. I think he was fairly vocal about the events of June 11th.
I think both managers have kind of diffused that situation for the time being.
There's that swing, Bob. This is the swing where he gets a little out of control.
You see how much lower body he has involved there. Bat drags through the zone. Well tardy of that pitch. I mean, Belisario throws hard, mid to upper 90s with heavy sinking action. It's a lot of ground balls. You don't have to generate power with your lower body against a guy like this. You just have to get your hands going a little quicker.
0-2. '96. So the Diamondbacks here are on the verge of a second straight loss to the Dodgers. Series finale tomorrow, and it'll be up to Tyler Skaggs to get this thing turned around. Well, it was right there. And now both benches have been warned. Marvin Hudson out in front of home plate, and he has warned both benches. Ian Kennedy hit Hanley Ramirez in the first, and now Belisario has hit Montero with 2 outs in the 9th. And you just saw the umpire out in front of home plate. He has signaled to both managers in both dugouts. Everyone has officially been warned, and enough is enough. What do you think?
Well, they looked like they were coming inside, but that ball hit Miggy on the back leg as he tried to get out of the way. Belisario fakes like he was concerned out there on the mound.
Montero takes off. He gets second on defensive indifference.
If you really want to get involved with some gamesmanship, if you're Kirk Gibson, you go out to home plate umpire Marvin Hudson and tell him that Belisario's got to take off those neon necklaces. There was a time in the game when a home plate umpire wouldn't allow a pitcher to wear any necklaces.
Yeah.
It was a distraction to the hitter. We actually called Jerome Williams on it one time. He had a big puka shell necklace that subsequently I found out, well, it's a long story, but there was some very touching and emotional reasons why he was wearing the necklace, but technically it was against the rules. He was dealing. We tried to throw him off his game by making him take off his necklace.
He's got a lot going on there, Belisario, that's for sure. From the Hanley Ramirez school of dress. Buttons optional.
I think the Dodgers need to go to zip-up jerseys next year. Be a little easier. Maybe they have trouble with buttons.
2-1 to Martin Prado. Montero at second. That one is chopped to third base. Punto in front of Ramirez, and that's the game. Dodgers, for the second night in a row here at Chase Field, have beaten the Diamondbacks by a 6-1 score. And now the D-backs are on the verge of a sweep here at home against the team that is now only 2.5 games behind them in the NL West. Dodgers have come in here for 2 games so far, and they've picked up 2 games in the standings. LA has this thing rolling now. They have won 14 of their last 17. And now, Bob, they're only 2.5 back.
Well, it's one thing to have a hot team come into your ballpark and play well, and that's pretty much what we expected from the Dodgers in this series. But it's completely another thing when they throw you off of your game, and I think that's what we saw in the game tonight. Ian Kennedy was shaky at best. The defense was as bad as we've seen it all year, and that's just not characteristic of this team.
So it's up to Tyler Skaggs to right the ship and salvage the series finale here. The Dodgers were 9.5 games out of the division lead on June 22nd. They have since picked up now 7 games in the standings. They have won 14 of 17, and now, Todd, they're only 2.5 back of the Diamondbacks in the NL West heading into tomorrow night's series finale.
Talk more about that a little bit later on. We're getting set for Diamondbacks Live present.